that gives me an overall position at the end of the 12 months of the property values that I control or bought during that time is just somewhere between just short of 900k and 963k. I should be able to get cash out on refinance either just below 100,000 or over 130,000, which is somewhere between 70 and 92% of my initial investment, and then it allows me to go again and find the next deal. Specific to remote investors, but generally investing is not to get fixated on cost and actually try and understand value and why value is more important than cost.
So our next presenter is another one of our Mastermind top performers, who is not only successfully investing in the UK, but they're doing it all the way from Oman in the UAE. So let's put our hands together and welcome Steve Cowgill. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Simon. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So I'll run through my case studies. As Simon's pointed out there, my name's Steve Cowgill. I'm from Oman, originally from Manchester. And I've been in the Middle East for 10 years now. First and foremost, I'm a family man. My wife Arlene and my two daughters there. I was taken one of my birthdays a couple of years back. In Oman for 10 years, as I say, I'm the Chief Operating Officer for a facilities management and construction business and have been for more than 10 years. But I'm also a property investor. And before I started Mastermind, I had property, but I think the mindset I had at the time wasn't as focused on maximizing profit. It was more about where can I put my savings, and I bought property that way. So in terms of strategy that I followed on the 12-month program, and before I get into the specific strategy, I just want to talk about the need to be a good leverager or have good leveraging skills as a remote investor. As I'm showing now, I'm 5,000 kilometers away. So in order to get the best out of UK property investing, there needs to be an understanding of where you need the support and where you need help, be that time, be that sort of resources, be that skill sets. And so very early on, it was important for me to raise my profile, to get to know who the right people are. And that was around social media exposure, raising my profile on there, creating websites, and attending as many online events as possible. And where I can, physical, and where I can't be physical in the room to see people, it's really important to be visible on the screen and really contribute to conversations on the screen so people knew who I was. Part of that then led to building what we call the power team. And the power team is really an extension of the business, the property business. And that includes sourcing your solicitors, your mortgage brokers, and then the teams on the ground that can help you find property, evaluate property, find the building teams, planners, consultants, architects, and everything you need to do to get the renovations done, and then obviously let and find the tenants, etc. So it's really important early on to raise the profile and build that power team. So my strategy was housing the multiple occupation, or HMOs as they're affectionately known. And I looked at this in two types of way, really. One, immediately, was how I can look at rent-to-rent HMO. And more medium or long-term was the buy, refurb, refinance, and recycle strategy, or the BRRR approach. So I'll give you two case studies on both of those strategies. So this is a rent-to-rent case study. As I said earlier about leveraging, I set up a joint venture rent-to-rent business whereby I provided all the investment to start with the business. I use the skills and techniques and strategies that I learned on Mastermind to help my business partner. I was involved in the deals, involved in how we build rapport, etc. And my business partner was the person on the ground, and this is where the leveraging came in. I couldn't be there, so I found the right person who can manage the operation, essentially, meet the landlords, do the viewings, build the rapport, and that's what we did. So this opportunity, this deal came through a landlord letter, and it was actually a portfolio landlord. And with the landlord letters, we had a very deliberate strategy where we would have batches of landlord letters just to keep consistent. The first batch of landlord letters had one response, but then the second batch, maybe 6 weeks later, we had 10 landlords who got in touch, and one of those landlords was the lady here who had a portfolio. And as I said earlier about building rapport, this one response actually came up with 2 deals. And it was originally 1, but building that know, like, and trust model, whereby people get to know us based on the landlord letters and telling them what we do. Then they get to like us because we start building up rapport and understanding what they need and how we can help them. And then the trust element is being open and transparent. So we first started talking about 1 deal, but that quickly became the 2 5-bed HMOs that we secured. And there's actually a 3rd one in a pipeline that I'll talk about shortly. And the reason a landlord came to us was that she wasn't getting certainty and she wasn't getting the service that she required. You can see from the images there, this is quite a high spec property. This is how we inherited this property. There was no work that we need to do, but her current provider wasn't looking after the property. They wasn't being open and transparent to how they're finding tenants, and she just had enough. And so she was looking for something new. So this is a 3-year deal. My share of this is £825 per month net, which over the 3 years is just short of 30,000 That does include allowances and contingency for voids and maintenance, but doesn't include rent increases or decreases. The second case study is the buy, refurb, refinance and recycle model. This is actually a old shop. It was 2 houses back in the 1980s, and it was converted into a shop and then later back to 1 large house. So again, using the skills and techniques on Mastermind, we were quickly able to identify that this was a large surface floor space, and so it had really good potential to turn into a HMO. The one thing that we also wanted to make sure, which is the other 2 images you can see there, is that we were targeting the top end of the market. We were very aware that HMOs are everywhere, but good HMOs weren't. So we wanted to make sure that we weren't just providing vanilla whitewash walls, and we actually provided something that resembled an actual home. So this, again, using the leverage and using the networks that I'd built up, I followed what we call a source, build, manage approach. And this was 2 ex-masterminders, they're maybe 2 or 3 years ahead of me in the program, who provided this service. Now, under normal circumstances, I wouldn't advocate anyone paying a sourcing fee up front. But the 2 reasons why this was different is, first of all, it wasn't just sourcing, it was the full end-to-end service, source, build, manage. And also I spent time getting to know the guys that run this business. I went to see them, I went to see some of their properties, and there was a really good confidence and credibility that they built up themselves. So as I said, we spotted that opportunity very early on, and the guys on the ground using their skills and experience, and me being able to challenge based on my learning from the program, could actually see that this had real potential. So it was a 3-bed to 6-bed conversion. It was purchased at auction, and again, using the skills that we learned about due diligence and stacking the deals, we knew what the maximum amount we could pay for this, and we were prepared to walk away if the auction went above that. Fortunately, we secured it at 175k, which was actually 10,000 below the ceiling that we set. The refurb is around 90k. The gross development value will be somewhere between 387 and 422. And again, that is subject to the revaluation and refinance based on the rents and the yields. Net cash flow will just be short of 1,000 a month, but that does include the voids and maintenance, and that is a year 1. Obviously, with rents the way they are at the minute, we're expecting that to exceed £1,000 within 12 months. And more importantly, and this is the final part of the recycle part, is that I should be able to get cash out on refinance either just below 100,000 or over 130,000, which is somewhere between 70 and 92% of my initial investment, and then it allows me to go again and find the next deal. And that will also provide a return on investment of 23%. So a summary of all the deals that I've managed to secure in the last 12 months. So the Middleton HMO is the one we've just been through there. You can see the value of the property, annual cash flow will be just over 11k, return on investment 26k. I have a second HMO, which is more or less a mirror image of the first one, in so much that it's a corner plot that used to be a shop. This will be a 3-bed to 5-bed HMO with annual cash flow of just short of 10,000 and return on investment of 21%. The 2 Wigan rent-to-rent HMOs are there. Obviously, there's no property value, but the annual cash flow in terms of mine will be, again, just short of 10,000 And because there's no actual investment with this, we've inherited a property that's ready to go. The return on investment there is infinite. What I've also managed to do in the 12 months is purchase a part of the family. We've done a right to buy scheme from the council. So we managed to secure the property for 60% below the market value. And the return on investment there, I've assumed, because of the way that the right to buy scheme works, we can't actually do much in terms of resale or anything with that property for 5 years. So based on a projection of what that property will potentially be valued at, considering the discount, the return on investment there is over 200%. As I said right at the start, we've also got 2 properties prior to Mastermind. Now, using the techniques around understanding the best finance packages in terms of mortgage, interest only or versus repayments, using the skills to get to know the letting agents, get to know the market, actually applying some like refurb techniques to the property to make it look better. We've actually been able to increase the annual cash flow on those properties by 9,000. Just again applying the techniques on here. So that gives me an overall position at the end of the 12 months of the property values that I control or bought during that time is just somewhere between just short of 900k and 963k. Again, that'll be based on the revaluation of the 2 HMOs. And my annual cash flow, again applying these techniques, is just over 44,000. And these are all the values that are due to me in terms of the joint venture arrangements. So in terms of future deals and opportunities, just in the last couple of weeks, there's an opportunity for a no money left in joint venture deal, which is a 9-bed HMO. This is really fresh, and again, this has come from speaking to networks, speaking to people who I'm working with at the minute to identify an opportunity to buy an existing HMO that needs a lot of work, and with the refinance values and GDVs at the end, we should be able to get the investment out. So I'm just searching for investment opportunities there to try and make that a reality. As I said, the rent-to-rent deal, there's a 3rd deal that we're pursuing at the minute. Again, another 5-bed HMO, which should give us around the same sort of cash flow. And what we're also exploring is a lease-to-lease opportunity, which is a 13-bed HMO. Now, this is an interesting one in so much that, again, building rapport and reaching out to agents and to letting agents, we've managed to find an organisation who take on single-let property management deals. But in doing that, they obviously get portfolio landlords that come to them often, and they have HMOs. And this company have no interest in HMOs. And they've approached us about a 13-bed HMO, 13-bedroom HMO. And we see opportunity to take that off this company and just immediately lease it to a social housing organisation, and essentially just act as the pass-through. So that's something we're exploring now. In terms of opportunities, I am glad and happy and proud to announce that I'm the host of the inaugural Property Investors Network event in the Middle East. That'll take place in Dubai in July. That's something I'm really looking forward to. And also the 12 months has actually given me great insight into what is required or what people based in the Middle East are missing. And therefore, I'm looking to develop an end-to-end service offering for those investors in the Middle East, whereby I can take the knowledge I've learned and the connections I've made in the UK and provide Middle East-based investors with an opportunity to invest in the same way I have. And one of the greatest things I've really enjoyed during the 12 months is this ability to be able to share my own knowledge and educate people. So in collaboration with Simon and with the wider PIN group is how can we develop education and knowledge sharing events in the Middle East, physical in the Middle East, and help from there. So top tips, and I've done this from a position of being a remote investor. First thing is to work out your strategy or strategies very early and avoid this shiny penny syndrome. There's so much that we can do with property when you apply the techniques that it's very easy to get blinded by lots and actually do nothing. So it's really important to work out the strategies early on. I use this a lot, both today and whoever I speak to. We are 5,000 kilometers away in terms of the Middle East. So it's really important to identify where and how you're going to leverage the support you need, whether that is people's time, whether that's people's resources, systems, or expertise. It's important to identify that very early. You need to raise your profile and build that power team early. Again, this links back to the second, where you need to understand your leverage requirements and opportunities, and raising your profile and building a power team allows you to do that. This is really important, and it's about not being so emotionally attached and remaining objective. If the deal doesn't stack, you have to move on. And I think it's easy, especially early in your journey, to get attached to the deal or to the property or to the landlord. But it's really important to move on quickly if it doesn't stack. I touched on this earlier when I talked about my existing portfolio, but it's important to develop a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset. I was very much of the opinion that as a remote investor before Mastermind, I just had to buy a single let and let somebody manage it, and the whole purpose was to buy property. Since then, it's about how can I achieve things rather than what is stopping me do that. So it's really important to develop on that growth mindset and avoid the obvious challenge and overcome the obvious challenge of distance. And again, specific to remote investors, but generally investing generally, is not to get fixated on cost and actually try and understand value and why value is more important than cost. I've paid quite a premium for my source build manage, but that is factored into the deal. I understand that my ROI, my cash flow includes those costs that wouldn't be there if you did this yourself. So the value is more important than the cost here. So that's my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
I do hope you got massive value from watching that inspirational case study. Hope you took lots of notes and start using some of the hints and tips in your property investing journey. Now, if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and make sure you hit the bell icon so you'll get notified whenever we bring out new content and training that's going to help you be a more successful investor. If you got any comments, just list those below, and I'll come back and answer as many as I can. And by the way, there's going to be a link below for you to get some further training so you can find out how you can get the kind of results we've just been talking about in this interview. As ever, I encourage you to invest with knowledge, invest with skill. See you in the next video we've lined up for you.